Well, not exactly. When Reverend Julia called me forward at the 8 o'clock service, she said, I'd like to call Dr. Frame forward to give us an announcement from the PNC, which got everybody's attention. They were ready for the announcement. This is an update, and my favorite statement of all is, we are closer than we've ever been. So you can not only hear my words, but access the PNC portion of the First Church website. I encourage you to keep updated via the website as well. But let me first acknowledge that this is a long process. And I know for many of you, you're saying this is too long of a process. Keep in mind that it's been since October 2023 since we've been without a senior pastor. That's when Dr. Miller retired. So it seems so long. The PNC actually has just been working since January of this year. I want you to trust that we're working hard. We're meeting every week for 2 hours at a time. And then we have lots of homework to do as we research all of the contacts that we have made. I want you to know that we are very, very optimistic. We've made great progress. We are moving closer to the point where we will find that person that God has already chosen for us to be our next senior pastor. Remember that we spent a lot of good time coming up with an excellent mission study report. That mission study report was foundational to the work we're doing, and as we have made contacts throughout the nation, people that we have talked with that have accessed our mission study report said, that's the best mission study report I've ever read. That tells me a whole lot about First Church Tulsa. So congratulations to the mission study report and the time that it has taken to come to that report. We realized early on that we were inexperienced in doing PNC work. I mean, after all, it's been 30 plus years since we've had the last PNC to look for a senior pastor. So there was not much experience we could call on. So we decided that we needed 3 coaches. The first coach is this book that was recommended to us by the PNC at Highland Park Presbyterian Church, who is just finishing a 2-year search for their senior pastor. This is a book called Pursuing God's Will Together, a discernment practice for leadership groups. What we're going through is all about discernment. All about discernment. The second coach is truly a coach. It's a retired Presbyterian minister who has been through 50 plus PNC operations or processes. He is guiding us to come up with a process, has guided us to come up with a process that we're going through in searching for our next senior pastor. And our third coach is the Holy Spirit himself, not itself, himself. Truly, as our group has congealed, we have felt the presence of the Holy Spirit guiding us. It's been remarkable. We have 2 prayers. We have a prayer for discernment, where we may have minds that are open to what we find. And then we have a prayer for indifference, a prayer that we may be indifferent to anything but the will of God in our search. I want to say a word about Dan's announcement last Sunday and in the email you all have received this week. The PNC absolutely and purposely allowed Dan and Hannah to prayerfully discern what God was calling them to do without any influence from the PNC. The PNC had no influence on Dan and Hannah, and Dan and Hannah's decision had no influence on the work of the PNC. Our process did not change. Had Dan decided to submit himself as a candidate, he would have gone through the same process as all the other potential candidates. So our process marches on. We so appreciate what Dan has done in serving as interim minister and his willingness to stay on, as he announced, through Easter at least of next year. So what is our update this morning? Well, we're closer than we've ever been. I think you want some more meat than that. So let me describe the process and then our progress. Our process is that we began by scouring the nation, calling contacts, just as if you were investigating your family tree. We're finding contacts out there that may be cousins that could make recommendations for us to consider for prospects for the senior pastor. We call this initial contact search the cousin search, not initially looking for candidates, but creating our initial baseline of people to talk with. From there we develop a list of prospects who are then researched using all sources available, researched online interviews, websites, social media, LinkedIn, listening to many, many sermons, and checking out references. Remember, all this is done strictly confidentially. From our prospect list, then, we will narrow the field down to only 1 to 3 candidates who will then be researched even more deeply. So in this process, we are funneling down from a large group of over 75 cousins that we have found, with whom we have individually talked, 75 cousins down to a candidate list of 1 to 3 from which we will select our final candidate to present to the congregation. We can't give you a timeline or an anticipated finish date, and frankly, we don't want to, because we are truly, honestly, and humbly allowing this process to work on God's time, not our time. But as you can discern, the process is time-consuming. Please trust that we will continue to work diligently, but we wanted to bring this update to you, and we will continue to bring updates to you, but we will ask for your continued prayers, and I thank you for your support.